Mother Nature is and will always be a dangerous and unpredictable weapon. The aftermath of many natural disasters can have long lasting effects and create new problems for which there was originally no response. The recent storms surrounding the Gulf Coast have wreaked havoc on the U.S. agricultural industry, most noticeably being soybeans. Soybean rust, which was long thought to have only been an issue in Asia, Africa, and South America, has now made its way to the United States. A fungal spore carried by high winds, this disease has the ability to directly penetrate leaf cells, which allows for a relatively quick spread of infection. There is no motivation or ill intent behind these outbreaks, but the geographic distribution tends to center around the southeastern United States. Areas with mild winters and high humidity are perfect conditions for this type of disease to flourish. The goal of soybean rust is to reproduce and spread as much as possible. With the wind transporting the fungi across many fields, it could rapidly multiply and cause a huge increase in crop loss. Soybean rust is a naturally spread disease that can't be controlled but can do significant damage to farmers' lagoons. The main target for soybean rust is the soybean crop. The fungi will try to attach to as many leaves as possible and use the soybean plant as a host. The fungi need soybeans to live off of and will therefore try to find and spread to as many soybean sources as possible. This affects most of the southeastern portion of the United States. Farmers are an additional target. With a high rate of soybeans being destroyed and not enough crop yield, the production of soybeans could deplenish. This, in turn, could increase the suicide rate among farmers. Food manufacturers could also be targeted. Most soybeans are used for their oils, which is about 13%, and as high protein for animal feed, which is about 38%. Soybeans are also used for human consumptions from the use of soy milk, tofu, soy protein, and soy flour. Soybean rust is caused by two types of fungi, Phacocyphora parkesarzi and Phacocyphora melibani. It affects several important commercial plants, however, most notable for soybeans. University of Arkansas explains that the symptoms of soybean rust includes tiny brown dots on the surface of the leaves. These dots have raised centers that break open, causing the pores to emit spores. As symptoms get worse, the leaves fall off and the plant begins to shut down. This causes significant yield loss and small seed size. This is not to be confused with other soybean leaf diseases such as brown spot. The Asian soybean rust fungi has one type of important windborne spore in nature called the Uridarian spore. The fungi can penetrate directly into the leaves and infect them without needing stomats or natural openings in the leaves. The cycle from perforation and infection to the production of new spores can take as little as 9 days. After that, new spores can form from the original and continue developing for 2 to 3 weeks. Secondary postulates can even form around the original pore, producing more spores for up to 15 weeks after the infection. The disease can spread after only 6 hours of the leaf being wet. The fungi prefer temperatures between 59 and 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Only a small amount of fungi transported by wind is needed to destroy a soybean farm. The results of soybean rust are up to 80% soybean yield loss. This means that over 72 million acres of planted soybeans would be affected across the U.S., resulting in an economic loss of $640 million to $1.3 billion in the first year of infestation. Within the next 3 to 5 years, economic losses could drop to an average of $240 million to $2.4 billion per year, depending on the severity of the storm and the resiliency of each region. Suicide rates of farmers and low feed production for animals. With low feed production and human consumption products because of low soybean yield, prices for feed production and human consumption of products go up, making things with soybean oil and protein more expensive. This will have an effect on global trade for the U.S. as well. The European Union is the U.S. largest importer of soybeans. If the U.S. cannot export enough soybeans, the price of soybeans will increase tremendously, not just in the U.S., but abroad.